the intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Hey everybody, welcome back, and today we're going to be wrapping up part 2 and the finale of Assimilation, where we got to re-experience the Borg in a new way. And today, as we do every month, we will be grading the arc. We will take the time to sit here together and we will go through, you and I, this right here. We're going to grade this patch. We're going to say what was good, what was bad, what we liked, what we didn't like, and try to find all the benefits in between. Now, those who are unfamiliar with this process, how this works is you can actually participate in this right here. All you got to do is I've pinned the top comment of this video. You will find the link to this form. You're welcome to participate. We take this information, these player-led surveys, directly to the dev team, community managers, etc., and let them know your feedback based on the previous month. And we've seen some pretty good results from that in terms of things changing and improving. And I do think that, as tends to kind of be, sadly, the end of an arc is the worst part of an arc, and that's kind of how I feel. So what I'm going to do in today's video is explain what I think from the arc from playing on my level 45 account as well as my level 29 account, and go over everything from features, events, and even talk about a little bit of the battle pass. So we're going to do just that. Now, you'll see on the screen I've already got my basic information input. You'll do the same thing. Just let me know your level and what region. Hit next, and then we get into the officer grading rubric, which I think is going to be a tricky part for a lot of us, because how do we really grade the officers? And this is something that I've really been adamant about when I was building this with Archduke, that I wanted it to be something where we really gauge the value of officers long-term included in this and sourcing in this. And one positive I'll say about this month's officers, which is the Borg Queen, which we'll scroll down to, you'll see Deuce and Goza with our ever-growing Borg here. And I'll rotate off real quick. You will see that I've got two of those. I've got Goza and Deuce. They're right behind me, and I've tested both of them thoroughly. And we've got plenty of math on how the Queen works, who is also behind me right here. So have gotten to play around with them quite a bit. And honestly, I'm just going to keep it real. My value of them is very low. I mean, to the point you can see them here, I've got them ranked as a D, meaning I think they don't really provide any value to the game, and they'll be nice to get eventually, but they're nothing that you really want to focus on getting immediately. Now, the question comes down to, why is that? This comes from a ridiculous amount of testing over the past couple weeks, and I figured I would share this Spox Club version just to give you an example. This is showing Goza and how he improved my mitigation, and essentially proccing in round 8, and both of these officers were tier 2. I got a 3% mitigation boost throughout the entire fight between two maxed enterprises. This was me stat stacking to give Goza what he needed. Again, this is not to say that they're complete trash. They work. It's not like they're broken officers. I just don't think that we have an extreme amount of value here. So like if I go into Goza real quick, and you can see our little Ferengi assimilated friend here in the background with great perfect abs. When fighting a player's ship with Assimilate, increases ship shield deflection and dodge by 150%. So I had stat stack for officers on the other abilities that we had used, which actually in that fight, there was no stat stacking. We were using the strike team. So we had strike team officers on the Enterprise and these below decks, and just a cumulative build of the ship's itself natural stats. And as you can see, it just wasn't very impressive. And it's another slew of officers that we throw into the pile called, well, when they're tier 4, we'll actually like them. And that's kind of how it is, because you would be sacrificing stats for other abilities and maybe even your ship's officer bonus. I would need these high up and be putting them at the end of ships. So I'm not really going to ever focus on these, not really ever going to find an extreme amount of value for them in the game right now. So had them rank pretty low. That means that in terms of our grading, this means that we're giving them 1 out of 4 potential points. So moving on to the next part. Now we're getting into the ship, and this is going to be one where I like really kind of hype up this game this month. I thought the Talios was a fantastic addition. As you can see here, I have it with an A+, meaning I actually give it a bonus point because the sourcing was immediate. So I don't have the Talios pulled out real quick. Let me pull the Talios out just so y'all can see it. Mine up to tier 3, 4.1 million, and I use it for everything. I can complete my grind, my actual Borg probe grind, getting more than I normally would with my Vidar, now at tier 3. it is also a completely viable ship when it comes to regular stuff, as in PvP, OPC hunting. It's a fast interceptor, great impulse speed, and just in general, it is a good, well-built ship. It's not a one-trick pony. You would actually use this for multiple purposes, which is something that we look for in a ship. Not only that, it came with an improved refinery, which for the most part, we'll talk about in a bit, is good. And I think the Talios was an incredible addition with the fastest free-to-play path this game has ever seen, which ended up being, I think, 8 days for players that already had a Vidar. Now, for those who've asked a lot, and I will continue to push this every time it gets asked, I did confirm with both community manager and game design that the mission set where you have a tier 9 Vidar, hit level 35, those missions will persist. So this free-to-play path is meant to last forever. You've got now a very quick and easy way to get your Talios while still keeping your Vidar, which honestly, I prefer that method. And I can't speak highly enough about the way they sourced the ship and also presented it. You know, people were able to spend if they wanted to get it earlier and get a, about a week and a half advantage. And I do think there was an advantage there, or they were able to still get it and participate in some of the events this month, even if some of those choices may have been a little bit difficult because of how the event calendar actually rolled out. But this is why it got such high marks for me, to the point that I give it a bonus point, which is part of our grading rubric. If you remember the one that myself and Archduke put together, we went through there talking about there being a potential of bonus points for certain categories when things were just especially good. And I think the Talio sourcing was especially good. But that brings us to our next part, which is the features. And this is something I don't feel was especially good. Here's the rubric. You'll see that I have overall grading rank C, meaning could have been better, but doesn't take away from the game. Now, there were 3 main features this month. One, the Talios Refinery, which I give a B. It's not perfect, but I do like a lot of it. Expansion queues, which I give a D, meaning they're basically pointless, but they're not like really ruining the game. But I do really believe they detract from the game, which is a D ranking. And then Haley frequencies, which are a solid C, don't really push, in the direction either way. Now, the only one that matters for the actual grade is feature grading overall, but these are important for you to fill out so that we get a better idea of what players thought when we give our feedback. So all of you who are liking the video, subscribing, participating in this type of content, this just makes it easier for me to understand what you think and what you feel. But expansion cubes, I mean, let's just keep it real. The sourcing for them is terrible. The refinery for them is okay, but the problem is people are going to spend a long time working towards actually pulling this refinery, and the payouts are solid. They really are. I have no gripe against the payouts. You're guaranteed officer shards, even though it doesn't tell you that, and you're going to probably get pretty high payouts when it comes to nanoprobes. So this is I would say a good chest, but the only way to reasonably run this is you've got to be the one that launches it, because you get that bonus chest, and you kind of, at the moment, are just letting heavies carry you through the major ones, like getting a super well with a Sanctus to launch the highest expansion cube. Everybody brings their Talios, and we smack it just to get the loot, but that still doesn't fix the overall problem. Not to mention its sourcing mechanic was a headache, and the buff mechanic was a headache. Just overall, I do not have a high opinion. I feel like this made the game worse, not better, so it gets a D from me. Haley frequencies, though, I'm pretty neutral on. I don't care either way. I've actually met hundreds of players who've enjoyed it, and it's just simple. If you don't like it, turn it off. Simple as that. I mean, it's no big deal either way, but I do have my Borg Talios there. My Vidar Talios is technically Borg ship. And then I did want to mention the Vidar Refinery while I've got the grades up on the screen real quick. The reason I have the as a B is I actually do think the refinery is fantastic. I gotta go finish this. Now you will notice this actually starts dropping off in efficiency around tier 8, tier 9. What I mean by that is the cost of inerts to charged in terms of how many it takes to get 1-to-1. This is better than Vidar for about 8 tiers. Then it gets worse, kind of trails off because they're expecting people to do expansion cubes for further sourcing. I don't like that. Now, as someone, and I will tell you, I am biased real quick. Let me just admit bias real quick. When it comes to the independent credits and the faction credits, I'm biased to how good I believe that value is because I helped input and design it and helped me and DJ both put in words that made this better than what it would have been before it even launched. That's per just what they told us. Go ahead and bias. I really do think the value here, you'll see me tier 3, 900 faction credits. I think the value of those is tremendous to today's game, especially the independent credits. A little bit of bias there, but I admit it. And well, y'all can grade it however you want. And I don't care what my opinion is. I will go with what the opinion of the group is. So back on the screen, we'll hit the next button and go to the next part, which is the event counter. And this is where I'm really feeling kind of negative. The event counter to me was a big flop. As you see, I've got it ranked a D. I do feel the event counter really detracted from the game. Now, there were some things they did, but in terms of milestones, I felt milestones are off a lot of the month. And when I mean off, just changing things. We're used to the heroic, say, Syndicate event. We're used to that and it being very difficult to complete, but those were raised. And then the XLSLBs that got added, players did ask for leaderboards. We did. We wanted leaderboards because it's a sourcing mechanic. But then the ones that got added, it's back to the XSLBs. And we have, again, the very bad SMS added where the milestones are really high with terrible payouts. This is going back to the way you and SMS without all the extra officer pulls. Then you had the PvP events that were open-ended. And it just, I think overall, calendar kind of flopped for me. You even had a couple days where there's no real events available. Then you had days that were slammed with events that maybe you couldn't even complete. I do think there's a lot of good in it, but it was just all over the place, and it just didn't really feel like it was a good cohesive month. Now, I will say it wasn't a complete fail because the payouts were really good, and I do like the Dabo style, pick your own rewards. I think that's really good for players to then kind of pinpoint. And for example, my level 29 is really focusing on the away team. I actually can't pull it anymore because I've pulled the maximum for the away team. So there is value there, just not extreme value. And then coming on and going to the final part of this, which is grading stability, I give them a solid B. I do think communication got a little light in parts of this month, but overall there weren't a ton of bugs. The main bug that happened this month was actually because of Apple, not because of Scopely. So even though I do like to gripe at Scopely sometimes when I feel like they are problematic, that one's not really on them. That's kind of just an issue with one of their mobile clients due to Apple making some changes. So overall, I thought it was a solid month. Not a ton of problems that the app itself created beyond the normal, well, this lags here and territories are terrible and the normal stuff that we always have. There wasn't anything extra coming through this month that was particularly bad, so I give it a solid B. And that would wrap up mine, and I would then hit submit. Now, here's what this totals out to be for those who are curious. I know y'all like that. For me, that means that I got, rough, but that means that I got 12 of 20 possible points, meaning a 60%. That's a D, 1 point away from a fail grade. And we're coming off a month that last month registered right around a B- to a C+ for almost everybody in the game that we talked to, which was a lot of players that participated. And again, please, if you're watching this video, YouTube comment, we have the link pinned. I need your help. Share it out on Discord, share it with your alliance because they do listen to this feedback and I appreciate them being willing to do so. But 60% is a D, right at failing. It's tough for me to get excited, right? I mean, that's just so close to a fail grade. And if it hadn't been for the Talios having the free-to-play sourcing, this month would have just bombed in terms of our grading rubric. And let me just go ahead and tell y'all a secret. We've made the rubric where it's not supposed to make it bomb. Like, it's supposed to take a really bad month to make that happen. I think that says a lot about how this month is and how it really went, at least for me. And now it's your turn to tell us how you felt it went. And, well, you can do that with, you just said, hello. Hope you live long and prosper. Stay safe for the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Catch you on the next one. Let me know if you disagree with any of this. And if you need any help, I'm more than happy to provide it. Have an amazing day. Can't wait to help you on the stream or in the next one.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.